Oluwole Oke. I represent Obokun, Oriade. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, I'm from Osun State. Mr. Speaker, may I move, sir, that the House recall that sometime in 2006, the Nigerian Communication Satellite Limited, NIGCOMSAT, was incorporated as a company and an agency of the federal government to commercialize satellite resources commencing with the NIGCOMSAT generation communication satellites. Also recalls that in May 2007, Mr. Speaker, NIGCOMSAT Limited launched its first geostationary satellite, NIGCOMSAT-1, into orbit as a result of Solar Army Array Development Assembly, SADA. But NIGCOMSAT-1 was deorbited on 10th November 2008 and was replaced in December 2011 with an improved replica, NIGCOMSAT-1R, which has a 15 years minimum lifespan. Mr. Speaker, sir, the House notes that NIGCOMSAT-1R has played significant roles since its launch into orbit, including astronomical increase in internally generated revenue to numerous downstream clients through the supply of satellites, broadband for their services such as provision of in-orbit testing and carrier spectrum management services rendered to the Belarus government, valued at about 1.6 billion annually, and the provision of secure satellite communication pathways to our security services and agencies in areas where they cannot deploy wired and wireless services. Mr. Speaker, sir, my colleagues, also note that in furtherance of its noble objectives, NIGCOMSAT-1R is being deployed in the war against terrorism, secured communication, and intelligence gathering, specifically through the provision of encrypted data through its superhighway. The House observes the need to support the indigenous communication satellite industry in Nigeria, more specifically in the area of increasing and availability of bandwidth through the procurement of additional communication satellites designed specifically for the Nigerian and African terrain, and market in the form of NIGCOMSAT-2 and NIGCOMSAT-3. Observes that the benefits that will accrue from these additional satellite capacities are enormous, including support for commercial platforms, ICT applications, health, education, agriculture, job creation, digital migration in broadcasting and communication, increased broadband penetration, and more precisely, Mr. Speaker, security support and intelligence gathering. Concerned that if urgent steps are not taken to sustain the existing investments in commercial communication satellites and the progress the country has made in satellite business, we may lose all the achievements recorded from the NIGCOMSAT project and regress in our march towards creating an ICT knowledge-based economy. The House therefore resolves to urge the Minister of Communication to grant approval to NIGCOMSAT Limited to source funding for NIGCOMSAT 2 and 3 communication satellites from development banks, sovereign wealth funds, bilateral and multilateral international credit institutions, and other financing agencies, and mandate the Committees on Information Technology, National Planning, and Economic Development, Appropriation, and Legislative Compliance, Mr. Speaker, to examine the feasibility and the relevance of the procurement by NICOMSAT Limited of NICOMSAT 2 and 3 communication satellites, and consider the adequacy otherwise of the proposed sum of 24 billion naira for the project, and report back within 6 weeks for further legislative actions. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Areas of having adequate resources funding to get us out of the recession. Well, there is consensus had it them that we should diversify our economy, that we should not rely on oil sector alone. We are all aware of the effort of the federal government to explore into agriculture, to explore into the mineral sector. Mr. Speaker, one sector that can single-handedly finance our budget is the ICT and communication sector. Nigeria's capacity in this sector remains world asset waiting to be tapped. Mr. Speaker, Nigeria has invested heavily in the procurement of NICOMSAT Satellite 1. And we can see the objectives, the increase in the IGR. Today, Belarus as a nation patronizes Nigeria NICOMSAT 1, based on which we collect 1.6 billion annually. Mr. Speaker, we are aware that MTN is a service provider in this country, yet they do not patronize us because of the inadequacies of the facilities of NICOMSAT. Mr. Speaker, our current experience, the current experience of nationals of this great country in South Africa is worrisome. Mr. Speaker, DSTV also generates so much money in this country. Yet, Mr. Speaker, they do not patronize our facilities. And the explanation, the reason given can vast, is that we are lagging behind in the area of satellite infrastructure. It's because of these reasons and because of the values that are credible if we put the infrastructure in place. This sector alone can put food on the table of over 10 million Nigerians. But I'm also aware that the resources available to the federal government is limited. In China, Mr. Speaker, in the United States, we have similar agencies of government. This is the reason why I brought this motion that we should not allow our investment into NICOMSAT 1 to go down the drain. We should not allow the huge assets that we have with NICOMSAT to go down the drain. And that's why I'm suggesting, I'm advising, I'm canvassing that we should allow NICOMSAT, if we cannot give them 24 billion naira in our national budget, then they should be allowed to take advantage of funding windows. And I need to give the House this information that NICOMSAT, during their visit with Mr. President to China, secured a facility of 550 million USD to procure the SAT-1, SAT-2, and SAT-3. But the only problem the agency is having is this, Mr. Speaker. The equity participation of 15% is what they are looking for, the 24 billion naira. So I want to urge my colleagues, this motion is very straightforward, so that we can really tap the potentials in this sector. I urge my colleagues to allow this motion to see the light of the day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This is a very... Are we trying to appropriate for a private company because they saw the word limited after each concert?
Just like my colleague said, sir, rather than using money to buy chairs and table, old meetings, traveling and all that, this is an important sector of our life that we need to invest into so that we can reap the profits thereafter. Profits in the areas of employment generation, profit in the areas of revenue generation to address decaying social infrastructure in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minority Leader, be the last contributor.